part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
That sound means it's time for Cavs on the Break NBA podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network. I'm your host, Chase Smith, and with me, he's the host of Sable Brothers on the Baseline right here on the Press Play Podcast Network. He's also the Fox 8 sports and news anchor, ladies and gentlemen, John Sable. John, what's up, my man?
Chase, what's good, man? It's been a long time since we hopped on Cavs on the Break. We were due.
It has been. It has been. April 20th, as a matter of fact, was the last episode released. Sam and Jeremy are unavailable tonight. Sam has to work because there's something called the NBA Finals tonight. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, when he's texted, he's like, guys, I'm going to be tied up game one. I'm like, game one of, it's the finals. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Convenient and legit excuse.
Yep. Jeremy is hard at work in the community. Jeremy works a lot for the community, and it's, he was recognized for that going to the Super Bowl via the Browns. So good job by him. But John, we have made the finals of this podcast, me and you right now. And we're going to talk about a handful of things. There's a couple things that have happened that we're like, should we record? Nah. But enough has happened now, John. And we're going to hit on a couple things here. First thing is first, the Cavs were in the lottery. And it's insane to say because around the All-Star time, we were like, are the Cavs going to be the 4th seed of the playoffs? Are they going to have home court advantage? And they didn't. The Cavs, alas, did not make the playoffs. We talked about that ad nauseum. John, they were awarded, I guess, or received the 14th pick in the draft. The Cavs had just a 2.1% chance of getting out of the 14 pick. That's kind of how they do that now, like the weird percentages of not what you'll get, but the chances of you not getting that pick. It's kind of odd into the top 4. They've never selected the 14th overall before. The Cavs have never selected 14s. So, John, in your crystal ball, let's talk about maybe who the Cavs are going to target or what they're going to do with this 14th pick in the NBA draft.
You know, it's funny when we were doing those trade deadline podcast episodes, we were thinking, dude, this Cavs team is going to be the 4th seed, 5th seed. Could they sneak in the 3? And then everything that could go wrong went wrong for them, for the wheels to come off. And it's not that they collapsed, only because they all got injured. And it's just unfortunate. Someone
saying they really like the move the Celtics made at that. I'll have to go back and listen to the pod, but I feel like someone was pretty bullish on the C's at that point. I don't remember who it was. It was me, but I'll have to go back and listen to it.
It's funny when we were doing the pre-trade deadline, Sam was talking about how there were rumors going around the NBA that the Celtics wanted to break up Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Remember that?
Yeah,
the Celtics weren't playing well then.
Their season was almost in the dumps. I really wanted Jaylen Brown. I don't want to say mocked because it's Twitter, but like people were like, you're insane. It's not going to happen. Why'd you like it? It was a thing.
Yeah, I know. But it's a lot has happened in the last few months that we did not expect, So, let's go into that here. So the Cavs had that 14th pick, Chase, like you were just saying. I mean, there are so many guys that could be available for them that could get down there if they fall. Here's the thing. When we talked about when the Cavs made that trade with Karis LeVert with the Pacers and they had that protected pick, we're like, well, we don't really care about that protected pick because the Cavs will likely be, a late 1st round pick because they at the point would be a mid playoff team.
Right.
Well, they obviously did not get into the playoffs. So that draft pick then became a 14th pick, which was then lottery protected. So they got it back. So in a way, it kind of helped them out, obviously. Right. So it's kind of funny how that kind of went around. Some guys, the 2 names that really blew up after the NBA Combine a couple weeks ago, that stock just went through the roof was Dyson Daniels, that G League prospect, and Akron native and Ohio State former Buckeye Malachi Branham. So those 2 guys could be there. I think Daniels goes before, and I think Branham could very well be there for them. I know they like him. They've always liked him. They liked him when he played basketball in Akron. I think he went to St. P's. So St. Vincent, St. Mary. So I would say those two would be the ones that I'd like for them to look into picking. But, when you're picking that far down, it can kind of be a crapshoot because you just don't know who's going to be available. Plus, this draft is still relatively weak in the top end.
And people are still dropping out, even with that.
And people are still dropping out. And it's kind of interesting because while there is nothing on the top end, there's a lot of the mid parts of the draft. Kind of like, I don't want to say, what was it? A couple of years ago, it was like that, where you didn't have like a number 1 or number 2 overall stud in the draft.
Is that the Okoro draft?
Yeah, I think because you had we had what, Porter in that too.
I'm not good at draft history. I'm just like,
I only remember Porter in that draft because when we did a podcast with Michael Regai right before.
Heard of him.
Yeah. A legend. We had him on right before the Cavs playing game with the Hawks, I believe.
Yes. I remember.
And we were talking about, Okoro, and Reg just destroyed him, ripped him. He is not a fan of him. And he was basically saying in that draft, I'm like, well, who else would you have taken? Because that draft was kind of like where the Cavs took him. And his whole point was, well, there were a couple other guys that you could have taken. And I want to say, who was the guy that he liked?
I don't remember. I was just in
Halliburton. Maybe he liked. I can't remember.
Yeah, he mentioned him. It was one of my top 5 favorite Cavs on the break moments. He was just throwing heaters that whole episode. I mean, he came ready to rock and roll, man, and it was just classic Reg. So I do think with the 14th pick, it can be hard to maybe target a who, because I also had Malachi B here on my notes. I wanted to maybe see if you. So I think we're all kind of sniffing what the Cavs are whiffing here, but maybe it's not so much a who, but maybe a what. What are the Cavs looking to get out of this pick? Like, what would you you are Kobe Altman, John? What are you looking to get out of this pick? Are you looking for a kind of Jordan Poole, kind of player? Are you looking for what are you expecting out of something we can get here?
Well, the guy that they need, the position, they need a wing that can score and a wing that can shoot and a wing that's big. You need a guy like that. And that is the one position in the NBA that is the hardest to find. And they don't grow on trees. They don't come very often. Those Paul George-esque players, you have
There's Isaac Okoro-esque players.
Well, he's not. No, he's not. He's not there. And I don't know if he's going to be there. But you need those type of I know Wiggins doesn't really play. He's a wing, but he also can play the 2 well. But you need a playmaker guy that can contribute immediately on the offensive end, that is not afraid to shoot at a consistent clip, who can also defend well. A Jason Tatum type guy. Now he's in a different stratosphere, especially this year. You need him. The Cavs haven't had one since LeBron left, and it's the hardest position to find. Teams know it. And I think you're trying to find that right now in the draft. The beauty with them drafting at 14 as opposed to, going earlier, is that you're not pressured into taking somebody else and where you don't want them to be. And you're just going to have to pick the litter of who you can have at that point. Here's the other thing too. The Cavs legally have to make this draft pick. They still could, if they aren't in love with this player, can still package him in potentially trading it. I don't think they do that. It just depends who they have there. So to me, Malachi Branham fits that role to a T if he's there, if they really like him. I know they've scouted the heck out of him. I know they really have been watching him even when he was at a high school down at St. Vincent St. Mary's. So, I mean, the guy's 6'10". He's a big guy. Or I should say his wingspan is 6'10" and a half, something like that. I read. So I don't know. I think that particular type of player is someone, he's 6'5", but that particular player and skill set can really help this team immediately, or also in a developmental role too, because you don't want to put too much pressure on a guy who's only had 1 year of college basketball. I mean, he was there for freshman year and really took a little bit to blossom. I would say he was like a late bloomer. He always had that
came on
in him.
Season.
Yeah.
Well, that showed flashes near the end of the season. Sorry.
Absolutely, for sure. But he's really worked on his 3-point shooting, and in that combine, scouts raved about him in doing that. So
same.
I mean, a 6'5" shooting guard that can defend and who's got raw athleticism that can grow is someone that this Cavs team needs. I think Branham is that guy. We'll see where they go with that, though.
John, in that response, you said the magic word. It's not wingspan. It's not athleticism. You said LeBron. All right. Now,
are we going down this road again?
So, well, I mean, people keep going down the road for us. I feel like every 6-7 weeks, there's another LeBron Cavs kind of flirtation article somewhere going on.
What was this next one that you're referring to?
It just happened a couple weeks ago. Like, I think right before, like right in the middle of May, I saw something that LeBron, I don't remember where, I was just like, oh, there it is again. It's like people keep listening to our All-Star show and they're like, that Chase, he saw something there.
Well, it's funny when LeBron commented or tweeted on Darvin Ham's hire, he's always like, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
I tweeted something like, yeah, LeBron staying in LA confirmed. Nick Camino of Channel 3 here responded to me, and he's like, I read the direct opposite. Coming back to Cleveland confirmed. And he and I both laughed about it because it's like, you never know what LeBron's like, agenda is in his tweeting, or
that might have been what I saw was Camino's response to that.
Yeah. And so it was kind of funny because, I mean, no one's wrong here, but it just, who knows? I mean, here's the thing. We're going to know sooner or later, though, Chase, if he picks up that option.
Can you imagine if we do trade for Wiggins and LeBron, Wiggins, and Love are all on the court together in a Cavs uniform? All their history together. It's like fate keeps bringing them. That's a whole lot of hypotheticals that I just jumped through that it'd just like be insane. But we're not going to talk about LeBron a lot. I just had to mention, you said the magic word, so we had to just touch on it a little bit. You
mentioned Wiggins. You really think the Warriors trade him?
Oh, I don't know. It was just, I mean, I don't think they need him.
No.
Well, the finals are finishing up right now. We're recording this on a Thursday night.
That game just went final, by the way.
Don't tell me. Wait till we get to it. We're going to touch on the finals here.
We'll talk about it shortly. Hey, and one other thing real quick here about who the Cavs who can fit there. I mentioned that Dyson Daniels, kid from the G League Ignite. Mm-hmm. He's another guy. He's taller than Branham at I think he's 6'8". And he's got a phenomenal athleticism level there. Shooting may not be as great as Branham, but that could be a guy, if he falls to the Cavs, I think they take. I think it's those two guys really, as it sits now here on June 2nd, where I think they could go in that type of direction. Those two guys. We will keep our eyes and ears peeled on that. Another little news we saw right before, this was like last week sometime. My time frame's a little out of whack. I was out of, not to brag a little bit, but I was in Scotland for a little bit. I know some of my time frame on things a little off kilt. I see what you did there. Hey, you know what? You can brag all you want about a trip like that, because that is sick, dude. You can. Good for you.
Maybe some other time. I don't think they listen to Cavs pod to hear about Scotland. But the Cavs hired Luke Walton as an assistant. John, I love that hire. I love it.
Yeah, your time frame really is messed up, because you said it was last week. It was actually 2 days ago.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I liked it. There were, reports that they were looking at him a couple months ago, ever since he got dismissed by the Kings. So I like it too. I mean, this is a guy who has, relates to a lot of younger players. People forget, Chase, he was the assistant coach on the Warriors from 14 to 16 when the Cavs beat him. I mean, he was an assistant coach in that team.
One of the hottest coaching prospects at that time.
Yeah. And then he was that head coach for the Lakers too. Mm-hmm. I mean, the guy's been in big moments, big coaching positions, learned a lot, learned under Steve Kerr, future Hall of Famer, coached, great players too, at the Lakers too, with Kobe and the Warriors. I think it's a smart hire for JB for this reason. I think JB last year, and he had a great year as a head coach. He had some faults too. But I think the biggest thing that fans got frustrated with JB about was two things. One, I think JB's rotations were really, really random and didn't make sense in crucial moments. And then two, while their defense at times for the first 3 quarters of the season was fantastic before the injuries really kicked in, they had no really offensive, system in place once Rubio and Sexton went down. And then when Garland had that back issue, when he was in and out of the lineup and the Cavs had no one to, no floor general, so to speak. And so, and then you add in the fact that Allen and Mobley got hurt, you had no offensive flow. And then when they came back, they were still lost.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to think Luke Walton could help him in that aspect of things, can take a load off JB's shoulders. And hopefully that can happen because he's got a great basketball mind, Luke Walton.
Yes.
Maybe not the best, player when he played for the Cavs or in his short time in the league, but he has developed into a pretty solid coach and really well respected in the league.
Had unfortunate situation for the Kings, had some success in LA, and then that just kind of it just seems like he always was at the brunt end of a really unfortunate situation. I've never had an issue with his coaching. And so I just think this is a positive hire. I think it's good for Luke. I think it's good for JB. I think it's good for the players, the young players that the Cavs have. And I absolutely love the hire. I do. I don't see any downside to it.
I think any coach that goes to Sacramento, as I call it, basketball Siberia. It's yes, I know it's not the temperature cold, but it's Siberia, meaning no one wants to go there.
Yeah.
So I think anybody that goes to Sacramento with the crazy shuffling in the front office and ownership there over the last decade plus, there's been no direction there. And the moves, look at the roster and the players that they have given up and have drafted. They don't know what they've been doing. So it's not all Luke Walton's fault by any means. So any coach that goes there is going to struggle. I hate to say it, but that's the case. And for him, he always kind of had a rough start or put in a bad position too, because with the Lakers, when he started there in 2016, that was Kobe's last year. Mm-hmm. And then they went into that little, mini rebuild there.
But they had a nucleus. I mean, you look back at that roster and it was like, man, if they would have stuck with it, that could have been something.
It could have been. Yeah. I mean, and look at those guys they ended up getting rid of on that Lakers team that are now not there anymore. We'll see what he can do. I'm really curious to see how he's going to be able to help some of those younger players like a Garland and a Okoro and Allen and Mobley. I
feel like he'd be more for like the Markkanen, the Windler players. Like, I don't think for developmental wise, I mean, maybe he can help with I just see him more of like a tall for probably help with Mobley. I know you said that, but
that's fair. I think you're right about that. Yeah. For sure. Offensive system as a whole is something that I'm curious to see what he can bring to there. Yeah. I'd be honest, I don't know what Luke Walton's specialty is as a head coach. Is it, what is
Grateful it? Dead. No.
Throw it down. This brings
Bill
man.
Walton to Cleveland, then it's a win. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. Throw it down, big man.
You'll smell colors. All right. Well, hey, let's take a quick break, and then we're going to smell the new colors of the Cleveland Browns. Not the Cleveland Browns. I almost had the perfect transition, John. I almost had it.
You blew it. You blew it.
Oh, man. We're going to take a break, come back, and hear why John loves the new Cavs rebrand.
I hate it.
Stick around. We'll be right back.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sable.
And I'm Scott Sable, and we're hosts of the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey everyone, this is Mike Voorhees.
And I'm Brian Shaw. No, not the pitcher. We're the Guardians of the Land MLB podcast.
Formerly known as the Swing and a Tribe.
Don't have time to watch 162 games of baseball? We have you covered with recaps, stats, and analysis throughout the MLB season.
Subscribe now to Guardians of the Land MLB podcast and Press Play Podcast Network for all your Cleveland sports analysis.
What's good, everybody? My name is Taylor Vanderbilt, and I'm the host of the Full 40 College Basketball Podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network. On the Full 40, we talk about literally everything college basketball related. It could be women's, it could be men's, it could be recruiting, it could be the tournament. It does not matter. We cover it all. So check it out. Again, it's the Full 40 College Basketball Podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network.
The R&R podcast going to be rocking and rolling with you because football season is underway. College, Ohio State, the Power Fives, the MAC, the Browns. Michael Regai, are you ready to rock and roll with some football?
Yeah, I've been ready. This is our time of year. This is what R&R is all about. We're going to be with you every week. Kenny just said it, Browns, NFL, Ohio State centric. So you got to stay with us all fall and winter long here on R&R.
That's right. The Regai and Rhoda podcast coming to you here on the Press Play Podcast Network. Subscribe now and don't miss a show.
For the Dennis Maniloff Show, I'll tap into my 40-plus years of following Cleveland sports and 30-plus years of writing and talking about them, so as to bring you informed opinions and analysis of your favorite players and teams. I also will monitor the national sports scene and, when warranted, step out of the toy department and into the real world. And I'll always be on the lookout for special guests. By all means, join us.
Hey everybody, I'm Gary.
And I'm Jason. Opening cards as a kid, no matter what was in the pack, you always had that stick of chewing gum. Well, it turns out Gary and I opened up a box of 86 Tops last year, and let me tell you, the chewing gum does not age well.
Join us on the Ball Card Show,
the sports podcast for the sports collector.
We're back here, Cavs on the break. Chase Smith, John Sable, Sam and Jeremy unable to make it with us tonight. John, another thing that the Cavs just making news all over the place today. I don't have this time frame out of whack. Today, the Cavs, well, yesterday, if you're listening to this today, anyway, the Cavs unveiled a brand new logo, a brand new rebrand. The black and gold is here. They've dropped, it looks like a little bit of the blue, and they're going gold, 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 gold. They have a gold C. It looks a little like the Junkyard Dog C that we saw. And the Hoop V's back. John, the Hoop V. John is not a fan. John, what do you not like about this rebrand?
All right. First off, how much time we got here?
Dude,
no. Okay.
It's a podcast. You just roll with it.
Let's roll with it. All
I'll
right.
go on mute.
Here is my issue, Chase. And we were texting this today.
Yep.
In the group chat.
Yep.
And I went off on Twitter with it today. First off, full disclosure, when it comes to like logos, uniforms, that's like a small little like closet hobby I have. I love like reading up on new stuff. I've had that since I was little, when Paul Lucas of UniWatch had his column on page 2 on ESPN 20 years ago, anyway, so here's my thing. This was rumored to be going down when I first heard about it in like December, that they were going to do a rebrand. Remember, we were talking about it. And at what point, what were they going to do? I got wind of it 2 months ago that they were going to drop navy out of their color scheme and adopt black. I like navy better, but I get why they want black because they won the title in the black sleeve jerseys. Totally get it.
Never liked those, by the way.
I didn't either. And Adidas, that's why I cannot stand you, Adidas. It's all your fault. Come on. You brought those sleeve jerseys, and I would have just cut
all
the sleeve
day. I dream about John Sable hating this rebrand.
All right, so let me continue. They simplified the logo, the Shield logo, which was bad to begin with.
Agreed. It's not even a basketball logo.
No, it's
awful.
It's like a rugby logo.
The Shield logo was not good.
Yeah, but you just made it worse by removing the coolest part of any of the Cavs rebrand when they started in 2003, 2004, and that was the damn sword. They got rid of the sword.
They did.
Like, what are you doing? Now the Shield logo looks empty and bare.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't mind them dropping navy, and I don't mind them dropping or going to the old the old Stepien year era logo, gold color of 80 to 83, or what the young kids here will call the LeBron first era gold, which I'm cool with, by the way.
I refer to as the Dion Waiters gold. Thank you very much.
Well, you know what? Dion Waiters technically did not play in this gold.
I have his jersey in gold.
No, but that was a different gold.
That was mustard. Yeah, that was the mustard.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
So then they brought back the new hoop logo, the CAVS Cavs hoop logo, with their previous font with the mixture of the mid to late 90s black and blue splash.
You are so
font.
disgusted right now. Like if people could see his face, he's so annoyed.
It is. I don't understand what they were thinking here. And this Daniel Arsham, I think I'm pronouncing his name right. He's like the creative director of the Cavs. He's the one that came up with this.
Dropping names. You don't care.
No, I'm there. You hear that? That's the bus rolling here. He's the one, and he is a graphic artist, designer, New York studio, way better than me on drawing and doing all that other kind of stuff. But Chase, he missed on this. If I saw him, I'd tell him, like, dude, you missed. I mean, you could just look at all my tweets when I tweeted this today. Everyone is ripping it, and it just there's so many elements that the Cavs can use that they have just failed to do. And that is bring back the old Cavalier logo from the 70s, utilize the sword a little better. The biggest problem that I have with the Cavs in general was from when LeBron left the first time, they changed the rebrand. They already had it in the works before he had left, because they have it at least a year in advance. So in 2010, 2011 was the first time you saw the jerseys that Kyrie and LeBron and Love wore when they won the title, not the black ones, but the other ones, that uni set. The problem that I had with those was the font on those jerseys never matched the C that they had on the shorts. The same thing happened the second rebrand in 2018. And the third thing happened again. You have missing match letters and fonts. It just looks like crap. Well, sorry, it does.
Give it 3 years and they'll rebrand again.
They'll rebrand. And here's the thing. Someone told me in the organization that they were going to, the reason why they wanted to rebrand again, they were waiting. You want to rebrand when you have someone to market. You needed someone to sell jerseys. The Cavs up until 2 years ago didn't have anybody. Colin Sexton wasn't moving the needle. Sorry. But now you saw Garland's blown up and Allen and Mobley. Now is the perfect time to do a rebrand. And they failed. So I don't mind the color changes. It's just the Shield logo looks awful. Like we're on Zoom, guys listening out there. And Chase, that looks like crap, dude. It's not good.
It's bad.
It's so bad. The Shield logo it's like missing something. It's like you played with Microsoft Paint and then you submitted a project because you worked on it too late and you forgot to add the sword.
Do you just feel like there's a certain group of Cavs fans that aren't going to be happy unless it's like the stencil Cavs baby blue and orange look?
Yeah, some of my mentions were talking like on Twitter. People want, bring back the orange and the royal blue and orange. Bring back that first era LeBron jerseys, in which, by the way, we don't know what the uniforms are. I don't think you're ever going to have any. You're not going to be able to appease everybody in any type of rebrand. I don't care what team or sport you're in. You're always going to have someone upset. So, I mean, I just got to pick. There's so much history there. You have so many different options. You just got to figure out which one you're going to do. They tried to cram every single element into this. It's basically like a city uniform, but full time now.
Right.
Or city logo.
I didn't like their city uniform.
Well, the one this year you didn't like with the Cavalier on the front, that old logo?
Which one had like the C for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Like it was like
that was 2 years ago.
Okay.
That was garbage too. That was bad.
Yeah.
But this year's one was good because it had the old Cavaliers, the original logo, and then it had the striped collar. Yeah. That was cool.
I'm gonna hold off on my opinion on this, my take, until I see the jerseys, because I think there could be something there with some black and gold jerseys, which would look really, really cool.
Yeah, they're going to have black, gold, and wine. And then I can tell you right now, I know this for a fact. The new city uniform this year is going to be white, and it's going to say the land on it in gold and wine and gold.
Okay, that's going to look good.
Mm-hmm.
Have you already seen the jerseys? You have.
No, I haven't. I've only seen one. The one I just told you.
Okay. I want to hold off. I am
Let me just say
I'm
this.
optimistic about the jerseys because I think that you can do it's going to look good because I love the Brooklyn Nets black court look. I like their black and silver jersey. I like a black. I don't know. I like black jerseys.
So two things. Someone did tell me that I got a DM yesterday from somebody that told me that the rollout that was going to happen today was going to be very underwhelming, but the uniform should be better.
Okay.
We'll wait and see. By the way, your take on the Nets, that's another brand that needs to be reworked.
No.
Here's why.
It's perfect.
Your name is the Nets.
Yeah.
You don't have a net anywhere in your logo.
No one cares about names. There's like
just
three
saying,
franchises that people care about their names, and that's it. Cavs are not one of them. Nets not one of them.
It's the Celtics, Bulls, and Lakers.
But Knicks. I'd put Knicks in there.
And Knicks too. You're right.
Maybe
but
4.
Maybe 4. But like the Nets logo always blew me away, even when they were in New Jersey. Like you never had a net in your logo.
Look,
but
the
now
black
when they moved to Brooklyn,
looks awesome, and they have the baby blue and the red alternate. Like they have the perfect amount of like. The Cavs, I think, do too. Cavs have awesome alternate options with like the white and the orange and the blues and the maroons and like. I love their options. If I'm playing NBA Live or whatever, 2K, like I'm cycling through. They're beautiful.
Yeah, no, I agree. Here's the thing with the Nets, real quick. While I disagree with you on the black and white, and I know I'm in the minority on that because everyone likes because it's so cool. I think it's just missing something. You need to have a better logo than just a shield that has like a B and the word Nets and a ball.
They have
boring.
a shield too. Oh my gosh.
I know. It's just boring. The NBA is in an identity crisis right now. There's a lack of creativity across the board. There's too many round dual logos. Everyone tries to go simple and it just doesn't work. It's just not good, in my opinion. I have no graphics background, by the way, but I've researched and read up enough and talked to enough of designers that have worked in the NBA over the years to know what is out there right now, for the most part, is garbage. And unfortunately, in my opinion, this new Cavs set is bad. However, you're right. The uniforms could be better, or could be, intriguing. And I hope they are. But to your point about black and white color schemes, I think there are only 3 color schemes or only 3 organizations in sports that can rock those at better than the Nets. The Raiders.
Fact.
The White Sox.
Not better than the Raiders.
No, better than the Nets. These are the ones better than the Nets.
Okay.
Raiders, White Sox, and Spurs.
Dude, I love the Spurs. Don't get me started on the Spurs. Also, what's the Any Given Sunday team?
Oh, Jacksonville Sharks?
Aren't they the black and white?
Oh yeah, in silver. Yeah, I guess they would be.
Yeah.
Were they the Jacksonville Sharks, or was that the Arena League?
I don't even know.
Miami Sharks.
They were like they were supposed to be the Raiders. Let's be honest. They were the Raiders.
Yeah, they were the Raiders. Yeah. Great underrated sports movie, by the way.
Yes. I'm excited for the uniforms. And there was another point I was going to make that I got sidetracked thinking about black and white jerseys. Hey, all right, let's talk about the finals because the NBA finals are here. Playoff basketball is at its peak right now. Game 1 has finished, and I don't know the outcome. John is going to tell me on air right now.
Celtics won 120 over the Warriors 108.
I predicted Dubs in 5.
So did I, Chase. I predicted them to win in 5. Here's the problem. We're all Cavs fans. We're all from Ohio. You're in Columbus. I'm in Cleveland. We're all losers here because
we're all losers.
No, we're all losers here because
I'm going to clip that out. Here's the problem. We're all losers, period.
We're all losers here. And here's why. If you're a Cavs fan, you hate both of these teams. You're in a lose-lose situation.
It's a disgusting finals.
These are the 2 teams, if you're a Cavs fan, that you hate the most, right? Who else is up there anymore?
If I'm a Cavs fan, I definitely don't like the Warriors. I don't like the Celtics.
You don't like the Celtics? No. Who
else? It's fun to not like the Lakers. It's always fun to not like the Lakers.
That's fair. But there's gonna be if the Lakers were in the finals like they were 2 years ago, Cavs fans, there's a lot of them that were still rooting for him, or LeBron fans from Cleveland that were rooting for him just because of LeBron was there.
Yeah, I think any team Kyrie's on, I think is automatically a fun team to not like.
True. Yep.
And so I think the Nets are probably up there as well, but nothing like, I think
and
the
KD's
Celtics,
on that team, so that makes it easier to hate.
Yeah, the Celtics and the Warriors are in a class of their own, I would say.
I would agree. So no matter who wins this series, we're not going to be happy.
Right.
Yeah. But that being said, I was with you. I picked the Warriors in 5.
Because I think what that does though, John, is it removes the veil of like subjectivity, right? And so you're just looking at it objectively like, okay, crap, Steph is really, really good at basketball and Clay is really, really good at basketball. And we witnessed it for so many years. Which fan base is more annoying, the Celtics or the Warriors?
All right. If you're talking strictly teams and not cities, I think it's the Warriors. If you're talking cities, it's Boston fan by far is the most annoying fan in sports. However, Warriors fan now is more arrogant and cocky and annoying than Celtics fan is. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I have an aunt and uncle that are originally from the Cleveland, Youngstown area. They've lived in Boston since like 1980. They were just in Cleveland visiting for my parents' 50th wedding anniversary a couple weeks ago. And we were just talking with them, and they're like, "Oh, my uncle was waiting to watch the Celtics game." I forget who they were playing that night. They weren't obviously in the finals yet. I think it was like game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals. And my aunt's like, "John, like, why do you hate the Celtics? Like, why do you hate them?" And I'm like, "Well, it's not that I like hate. Hate is such a strong word. I just don't like them because they were always a rival with the Cavs." "Well, then why didn't you like Tom Brady and the Patriots?" "Well, I don't mind Tom Brady, even though he went to Michigan. I respect his greatness and what he's done. And even at the Bucks, I rooted for him when I lived down in Tampa and everything. But I didn't want them to keep winning." Yeah. We as a society like teams outside of our own teams. And then when they start winning consistently, then we don't like them.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're in that city of a dynasty, for the most part, you don't like dynasties.
Mm-hmm.
Or you don't like consistent winning. And then what happens, Chase, real quick, what happens is when you're in a city like Boston, which was the, struggling for decades for wins and championships. And then the Red Sox routed off a few. The Bruins had one. Patriots blew up. Celtics had one. And then you have these new homegrown kids that are spoiled and lucky, and we're all jealous because they have had so many titles in such a short amount of time.
Was it like 16 parades and like I saw some stat. It was like a ridiculous 16 parades in like 20 years or something. It was something crazy,
which is insane and good for them. But then you were like, well, we don't like you now. It's just so funny. And unfortunately, sometimes those fans get a little obnoxious and rightfully so when you're on top, right?
So the Celtics went into the Bay Area and they took game 1. Mm-hmm. Steph dropped 20 plus in the first quarter.
And they still lost. He set an NBA Finals record for most threes in a quarter. And they still lost. How about this? Even more jaw-dropping.
Gosh, he's so annoying.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing, too. Yeah, Steph is still annoying. Greatness, Hall of Famer, greatest shooter of all time. Doesn't mean I don't need to root for him.
Gosh.
Jason Tatum had 12 points, Chase. He had 12 points.
It's Marcus Smart's team, John. It's Marcus Smart's team.
I know. Here's the one aspect of the Celtics team that is very intriguing and unreal to me. It's Al Horford. Al Horford is 35 and is in a career resurgence.
He really
with the team that he, after leaving Atlanta in 2016, went there to Boston for 3 years. In those years when the Cavs, waxed him.
Yeah.
And had productive years, and then stumbled in Philly and OKC, and then has bought in and has playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
Is that sustainable against a team like the Warriors, though?
Yes, because we saw Tristan Thompson do it. He is.
You're right. You're right. But I think the difference, though, is Horford's younger or older than Thompson was.
Mm-hmm.
And Tristan Thompson wasn't dropping 26 points like Al Horford did tonight.
Well, Al Horford's better at basketball than Tristan Thompson.
And Al Horford also went 6 of 8 from beyond the arc today. Tristan Thompson never did that.
He was hitting threes at other places, not so much on the court. I don't know, but I know that type of like player that's always hurt the Warriors, like that tall kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Know.
Do you think that's sustainable for Boston? I mean,
they just need it 3 more times. Yeah. Heck yeah.
I would think it could be. The one thing that no one has talked about it enough is that Boston is a really good defensive team. And, I know they allowed 108 points tonight, and Steph's going to get his, but they suffocated Golden State in that fourth quarter. Warriors only scored 16 points. And, I mean, you're going to need someone else to beat you besides Steph. Who is it going to be? Clay struggled a little bit tonight.
What is concerning about this is the Cavs are not built like the Celtics. The Cavs are more built like the Warriors. With their guard. I don't see, I know the Warriors don't have a big man like Mobley or Allen. But I just, maybe the Cavs are a hybrid of both. I don't know, but I don't see the Cavs looking like the Celtics. I think they want to defensively try to do that, but they're not. They don't have a Tatum. The Celtics don't have a point guard like Garland. Like it's just, they're just totally different makeups.
They really are. I think they're like a slight hybrid of both. I think
so. That means they're like, they don't have an identity at all.
Well, I think they're still trying to search for their identity. I mean, they were searching for it last year, and then they all got hurt. You look at like the Warriors. They have Steph is technically, I guess, their point guard. Obviously, he's their point guard, but he is not your, prototypical point guard. I mean, he shoots 25, 30 point attempts a game, and it works for them. You don't need a guy to distribute like a Darius Garland or someone that's going to take over the game in a slash and dash way, like a Ja Morant or, someone like that. I mean, I think every team has their own identity. And it's, they're constructed in a way that fits the system and fits and complements everybody else's skill sets. I think it's still too early to know what the Cavs' identity is, because I still think they're still going to tweak this roster going forward. When I mean tweak, I mean maybe a little piece here and there. I don't think they're going to overhaul anything. I think they'll bring Sexton back, and then what they do with this draft pick. I don't fully expect them to do anything with LeVert or Love. So it is basically the roster you're going to have going in there, with the exception of have everyone being healthy and a young lottery player who may or may not contribute unless they make a trade.
Real quick, what do you think the win total for the Cavs is next season? Is it already out?
I don't know. It's got to be. And the futures already?
I don't think it is.
Well, if it isn't, I'll look real quick. But if I had to guess, even though we don't know what the roster is going to be, man, that's a tough one. And here's why. There's just so many variables.
36 and a half.
Okay. Is it 36 and a half?
That's my guess. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Guessing the future.
That's low. That's not good, because they had 44 wins this year.
They didn't make the playoffs.
Right. But why would you drop them 8 less wins than last year?
That's my guess.
That's not good, Chase. You're thinking something bad's going to happen. Well, if you're curious, the Cavs are plus 10,000 to win a title next year.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah. Huge Jim Carrey. Yeah. I mean,
I'm going to write that down. I said 36 and a half. I'm curious to see what it ends up being.
Man, I don't know. I don't think it's out. I can't find it anywhere yet. If it's out, I'm not looking at it.
I think Charlotte's going to have a higher Charlotte will be around the 40 number, and they didn't make the playoffs either. So
you really think it's going to be that low? So you're saying the Cavs aren't going to make the playoffs next year? As you sit here on June 3rd, now the time is flipped now as we record this here on June 3rd.
Right.
You don't think the Cavs make the postseason next season?
Currently,
And why? I want to know why, Chase. Now I'm
because
interested.
I just think everyone. I think that
Are
everyone
you
else has
predicating
a better roster, and like they didn't make the playoffs last year. They overachieved when everyone else was going through COVID. Everyone got excited. I was one of them.
We all were, but at the
Right.
same time, we saw a brand of basketball that we had never seen before.
Yeah.
Since LeBron, in a way. But then everyone got hurt. I mean, no one got hit harder with injuries than the Cavs did for the most part.
Yeah.
When you think about the time in which the dominoes fell one by one at the worst time of the year. Teams got hit with injuries, don't get me wrong, but not when teams were, fine tuning themselves heading into the postseason.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I hope I'm wrong. Maybe I just need to go to bed. Maybe I haven't recorded a basketball pod in a month and a half, and I just am feeling
Sam
down.
Amico and Jeremy and Akron are not going to be pleased with you when they hear this.
Maybe I'm allowing the Browns my feeling of the Browns to seep into other, and they just started, receiving the brunt force of my downtrodden feelings.
Well, think about this. Think about it this way. The Cavs were, if two ways. One, if they didn't do this tournament, the Cavs would have been in the playoffs. They would have been the 8th seed.
No comment. You're correct.
Okay. If the Cavs, let's say an injury, I know it's hard to say injuries, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But had the Cavs had Darius Garland for 2 games, and he helped them the win, the plus or whatever the win differential stat is, that gave them 2 wins from the point guard or for point guard position or whatever it is. I don't look at advanced stats in the NBA like I do in baseball, because I think baseball's a little bit more direct than the NBA, but that's a different story. Had that happened, the Cavs would have been the 6th seed, and they would not have been in the play-in tournament. They would have had 46 wins because the Bulls had 46 wins. So they just missed it. And they just missed it hobbling literally into the play-in tournament. If they come back healthy next year and they don't get bitten by the injury bug consistently, and they make a move, and let's say they, hypothetically speak, in February, make a trade deadline deal and they ship Love off, which I'm not sold they do that yet. Or they do something else with somebody else, Sexton, LeVert, whoever. I'd be shocked if they weren't a playoff team next year. That would be a major disappointment. If they're not a playoff team next year.
Look, it's not an indictment on them. It's state of the East. The East is tough. Celtics will have a higher over future. Nets will have a higher over. The Knicks will have a higher over. The 76ers will have a higher over. The Raptors will have a higher over. The Bulls will have a higher over. The Bucks will have a higher over. The Hawks will have a higher over. The Heat will have a higher over. The Wizards, maybe.
You think the Knicks will have a higher win percentage or a future over the Cavs?
Yeah.
You think the Knicks, really?
Yes. I think the Hornets will as well. So I think that's 10 teams. And it's just, you can't have it's like the issue with Marvel movies. Not every Marvel movie can be awesome. You can't have 12 teams in the East have over 45 wins for the season. I don't know.
I get what you're saying. I'll buy stock in the Hawks and the Hornets. You can't sell me on the Wizards and the Knicks.
I said maybe on the Wizards.
Okay.
Maybe on the Wizards.
Again, if you just base it off of this past year's standings, where the Hornets were the 10th team in the play-in tournament at 43 wins, the Cavs are 44, and they only needed 2 more to get to that 6th seed. So, if
36 might be low, I don't think it'll be 40. Really quick, John, predictions on the finals. We both said Warriors in 5. Do you still think the Warriors are going to win?
I still think they're going to win. I think they could be pushed to 6 now. I don't think they can win 4 straight after this. Maybe they could. Who knows? You just never know. But I think Boston's a good defensive team that could cause some fits. The fact that Al Horford went off tonight and Jason Tatum didn't was, I think, the biggest shocker to me. I think the Warriors still win this. They'll still think it happens probably now in 6 games. I don't know if Boston has the consistent distribution of output from guys for a 7-game or 6-game series.
Yeah. I'm gonna zag. I think Celtics in 6.
Ooh, all right. Well, considering, back to my point that we're all from Ohio and we don't like these teams, we're both going to lose, or we're in a lose-lose situation. I would much rather see Boston win this series. I want them to win this series.
Yeah,
I'm rooting for them to win, but I think the Warriors do it.
Hey, guess what? I'm rooting for you, John Sable.
That's so kind of you, Chase. I'm rooting for you as well.
Thanks, man.
When are we golfing and playing hoops?
Dude, we need to golf and hoop as soon as possible. You know who else I'm rooting for? Every single person who listened to every minute of this podcast to this moment. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Cavs on the Break NBA podcast, for downloading and listening. You guys are the best. Shouts to the Press Play Podcast Network for making this possible. And make sure to follow us on Twitter at Cavs on the Break. Make sure to follow John Sable on Twitter as well. Check him out on Fox 8. Check out his podcast, Sable Bros on the Baseline. You guys got great things coming down the pike. What's ahead for the Sable Brothers, bro?
We have a couple already recorded, locked and loaded, and one will tie in with a former Cleveland Indians legend.
Love it. Am I a brother yet? Like I've asked that a couple times. You've been like coy about, I don't know if it didn't go through. Like, I want to be a Sable brother. So what do I got to do to make it happen?
Chase, how much time we got left in this podcast? Because I got a long list.
We got seconds. All right. Well, we'll figure that out. Maybe that's a whole nother episode. John, any final words, my man?
No, man. I appreciate you guys listening. And we'd love to hear your takes. If you agree or disagree, hit us up on Twitter on the Cavs Pod. I would love to see what people think about this rebrand, with the Cavs doing the draft, and also what this finals looks like.
And also let us know what you think the Cavs futures wins will be like. I think it'll maybe 36.5 is a little low. I think it'll be below 40.
I don't know if I gave my prediction. I will say 45.
Wow.
That might be too high. I don't know. I really got to think about it. Now you're making me second guess.
Yeah. Well, while you think, Mike Breen, take us out.
Congratulations, Cleveland. Your decades-long wait is finally over. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.